Greg and Jack, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We've been working alongside Creovai for about a year now, and every time we have a meeting with one of our customers, I learn something new. We've actually been working on projects along the lines of insolvency practitioners, auctions, recruitment companies, ticket sales, and insurance. So Creovai has really added some value to some of our customers in enabling them to understand the interactions that their teams are processing. I'm going to hand over to Greg, who's going to tell you a little bit more about Creovai themselves, and then we're going to hand over to Jack, who's going to walk through a presentation. So, yeah, looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thank you, Mark. Welcome, Lauren. Creovai, we're a provider of intelligence and guidance technology in the contact center. So speech analytics is part of it, but broader conversation analytics, quality management program and support, and then more advanced analytics and AI services that we'll talk about a little bit in a second. And then the guidance side is very much the agent guidance. So how do we affect agent behavior in real time to, help boost business outcomes like sales conversion, customer churn, and customer satisfaction, but also just more localized KPIs like handle time and first contact resolution and all those sorts of things. So we combine those two things, which at the moment is we find in the market those two things exist, of course, but are somewhat siloed, whereas our two services, the analytics and the guidance, are very heavily connected. So the insights that you learn from the analytics can be fed directly to either your operational teams for decision making or the agents themselves to influence, as I say, real-time behavior. So just sort of, as I say, we think that stands out a little bit in the market. But super deep heritage within our business. We've owned and operated contact centers within the company, so we know what we're talking about. And as Mark says, we've been working with NSL for about a year or so. I'm going to hand over to Jack in a second, and you know what you're talking about, Lauren, so I won't go too deeply into my normal preamble for people who are maybe newer to speech analytics and quality management. But really focusing today on scale. How do we analyze all of the interactions that are coming in across all of the different channels? What can we automate? And how does that automation save money, right, in the long run, unlock the insights that we need? AI, a really big one. So maybe we'll spend a bit of time there for you, just because, we think we're pretty much at the bleeding edge of that for the contact center, and we're certainly using AI in a number of different ways, both proprietary and generative models that are out there, in order to answer questions in more granularity with more context to again guide decision making and improve outcomes. And all of how does that all flow into your agents, right? How does it impact your agents? How do you coach them effectively? How can you set up that process and all that sort of thing? But really at the root of it all is the speech analytics and the technology you're so familiar with.
Yeah.
We exist because of so many people I speak to and the business speak to still sample extensively, and of course the point here is to get away from that and actually know where to look to have that 100% coverage, and make sure that you're really understanding what's going on. But we're going to show you some stuff that I think will be of interest. But yeah, I'm going to hand over to Jack, who's our senior solutions consultant, and he's going to sort of show you a few things that hopefully are super interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Mark. And Lauren, yeah, please. It's basically your session. So let's go ahead, but ask any questions you like throughout. So I'll share out my screen. And first and foremost, can you see that coming through?
I can, thank you, Jack.
Excellent. So yeah, Creovai really offer, say, two distinct flavors of the kind of speech analytics quality management products, both one being, I suppose, more the variant side that you're used to, which is that back office post interaction analytics where we're starting now. But we take all of the insights, analytics, and sort of best practice that we discover from this piece and push it into our real-time solution, actually supporting the agent, on the front lines of the contact center. So I'll take you through this post-call piece, and I'll show you some of the typical insights that you can get out of a solution like this, and hopefully show you something new, and then show you how we use all of that on the real-time front. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you.
Excellent. So our conversation intelligence platform, this post-call analytics, is what we're looking at first. And this solution, as you'd expect, gives you the capability of ingesting and analyzing up to 100% of the interactions within the contact center, ranging from phone calls to digital interactions, live chats, case notes, even emails straight out of Outlook. We can bring all of that in and give you the kind of dynamic and flexible reports that you're seeing here, all of which are built within the platform itself. So it's a web-based application. I just access it through my browser. And as well as the ability to go through and see every interaction, I can also create and customize my dashboards and KPIs. So I'm starting with this one, which is contact drivers and customer experience. This is actually one of the ones that comes pre-loaded, almost like ready configured out of the box with the tool. But all of our customers have the ability to completely create and customize their own from the ground up using our dashboard and reports builder.
Yeah.
So this is a daily sort of contact volume look. So I think, as you said there, if you were struggling with things like board reports, daily, monthly, weekly, that's yeah. So that's something you can use our filters on the side to quickly customize and go in and build. So if you wanted to look at, for example, the last 24 hours, or the previous day, previous week, month, anything for like a year-on-year comparison or anything you like, that can all be quickly set up ad hoc, as well as saved as a pre-existing report that you could have a look at when you need to.
Okay. So can I just ask a quick question? So when you're looking at the top customer contact reasons, and I'm guessing you have text analytics, etc. As I don't, it is just speech, but is this all from a customer point of view, the top customer contact reasons? It's actually the customer saying it. Or, for example, I'm just thinking, if agents are speaking to each other, guidance calls, internal transfers, etc. Is it everything? Absolutely everything, from emails to calls to, and internal transfers between agents as well?
It's everything you want to send us. Yeah. So it really can be. And you're right. And it's worth saying that we'd call them categories. I think you called them something similar, the categorization. Yeah. So these sort of categories that we can then report on and chart on, they can be set up within the platform with a lot of nuance. So you can look at something specifically the agent says, specifically the customer says, or you can make it sort of pan conversation to accommodate for those, like you say, internal transfers where they're saying, I'm just transferring this over to you. There's an order tracking that they can't find. Can you help me out? That sort of thing.
Right. Fab. Thank you.
No, not at all. And it's a really good question. It's another thing that you can filter on very quickly and easily. If you wanted to filter by types of interaction and only look at certain cases, calls, chats, you can do all of that there. Certain lines of business or teams of agents, really easy to go in and do.
Oh, fab. Okay.
Brilliant. From our world, what we want to know is, what people are talking about, because that's going to really give us, a fundamental piece of knowledge to then go and slice and dice all the other pieces of analytics that we're gathering by, actually understanding what are they calling us about, what is this conversation about, and then are there friction points, are there areas we can make better, are there quality assurance processes that need to happen. All of that can be identified from this kind of view. So if I scroll down, you can see we're looking at contact drivers and customer experience. So what's the overall feeling of the customers or other people on the line when they're calling to deal with us? Conversation intelligence has a lot of, as Greg said, proprietary in-house LLMs and machine learning models. One of those is our effort index, being able to really see how essentially easy we are to deal with as a business. Are we really low effort, low average handle time, positive sentiment, no frustration markers? Or are we actually quite difficult and there's a lot of high effort for particular contact reasons to get that resolution the customer's looking for? Is there even such a high amount of effort that we might even flag it as churn risk? Or is the customer mentioning competitor names or threatening to cancel their account? We can bucket these things however you wish. All of this is just a sort of out of the box look, but it's easy to go in and then see where that attention needs to be focused. Lauren?
is this from like a CSAT, sorry, a survey, or is this from calls? Again, everything.
It's from everything, but it's really
Okay.
interesting you mentioned CSAT and surveys, because this effort marker is a helpful, I was going to say, it's a really useful marker to spot customer effort. We have this sort of patented model of effort. We also have a patented model, and I will jump ahead just for you, a patented model of CSAT AI.
Oh, okay.
And this is with the effort scores, another patented model that Creovai have. But this is essentially an automation of the post-call survey, because you can then get this kind of score of how a customer would rate you on a survey without them having to actually do one. So we can score every interaction using an LLM to say the customer would have rated us satisfied, dissatisfied, or neutral.
Okay, interesting. Because
So,
some customers don't want to fill in the survey, do they? So that's good.
I was going to say, are you pushing out surveys at the minute, and what's the response rate on those?
As a customer, do you want to? Do you have time? You know,
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, I only fill them out if I'm really, really satisfied or really, really annoyed. So
Yeah,
you don't get that true, as you'd expect, true neutral in the middle, which is most people are just like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
You get that, so you get a much more unbiased look at the data, and because again, it's at scale, we're talking hundreds, thousands, potentially millions of interactions. If there is one score out of 100,000 that the AI got wrong, it's not going to affect the broad big picture, where we can then see things like, is there really a team of your agent, or is there even an individual agent who's driving that DSAT or that positive satisfaction a lot more? Because we're looking at, again, at scale, and we can start to see, is there a particular contact reason, that we pulled from the previous kind of dashboard view that's driving dissatisfaction? Is there a particular product or service that we offer that's driving that and really frustrating people as well? And where are these friction points, and how can we identify them?
Yeah, that's great. It's very interesting to see different analysis using different things instead of just speech. So no, that's great.
Fantastic. And Lauren, I think you said something at the start about, was it different products or different sort of wanting to identify different keywords and product names? Yeah.
So with speech, it is just one product of Argos Financial Services that I currently use. But we do use keyword analysis, and depending on what the request could be, it's within AFS. It could be different products from, for example, change redress, gyro slips. Could be anything. It depends what the business requirements are. So I use keyword analysis within speech to help with that.
Sure. I was just going to say that, I mean, being able to identify what people are talking about, especially when it's non-dictionary words, can be quite difficult. But being able to, we can actually build that into our, essentially your own custom library of words. So we can pick out things that aren't in the dictionary and make sure we're accurately identifying when customers are talking about certain things.
Yeah, I think I mentioned in the sense of with a complaints forum, instead of just analysing complaint calls, I use I call it EOD, expression of dissatisfaction, to preempt potential future complaints, or customers are unhappy about this, which could lead to complaints, and that's shared within a forum style within operations.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
No, so something like this hopefully will give you that sort of food for thought, because it's that, we've spotted on the reports, there's a lot of negative sentiment, or, straight up customers have complained a lot about this particular product, and we can go in and drill as deeply into that as we need, So if we wanted to look at customer sentiment along a particular, complaint line or product line, we can go in and actually see not just what the sort of overall negative sentiment rate or complaint percentage rate might be. We could look at that across a particular timeline, but we can then go in and get a more granular reason as to actually what subject is driving that negative sentiment. We know that smart home is driving the negative sentiment the most, but what are people actually saying about it? They're saying things like, I'm really confused. There's a lot of repeat contacts. There's a lot of frustration. But all of that is actually just because they've updated their system and it's not working anymore. and that's the sort of thing you can pull out of the system without having to use keywords, because we can actually understand the language that people are using. So no matter how people are saying things, we can pull it out of the interaction itself, and you don't have to spend all your time updating your keyword banks and like making sure that every possible way someone is saying something is accounted for.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. So from an operation point of view, that would be quite easy to use and discover from themselves what customers are, for example, on this one, unhappy about. So from an AI point of view, I don't mean to sound direct or blunt, but would there be people like myself in there that need speech analytics when you've got all the answers here?
Oh, that's a really good question. So what, I mean, almost like taking this as a contracted service.
Yeah, I'm just sorry if I was going down a different road, but if there is I don't know, above forecast and maybe there's an HT increase or something, or customers are really unhappy about something, would there be a need for analysis when you can just look at these great reports and go, okay, I can see customers are confused about whatever.
Well, that's where we want to get to, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah,
sorry, Mark. Yeah. I mean, go on, Mark.
What I was going to say is generally in situations that we've discussed and projects that we've been working on with customers, there is a specialist within the organization, which would be yourself, Lauren, that would manage this platform, create the reports, educate the team, and actually sit with other members, sort of the SLT, and say, well, what would you like to see? Because each department, as we've done in other organizations, so like you've got the marketing team, what do they want to be able to see? Then you've got the sales team, what do they want to be able to see? Then you've got the international team who actually deal with locations, what do they want to see? So I think as much as this information is here and the AI brings it to your fingertips, you need a specialist to be able to support the business itself. So I think that's important.
Yeah, and get to the real granular detail as when needed. Yeah, of course, makes sense.
So two elements that I was just thinking about what Jack's showing here is we're a Sky customer, and there was a massive outage with Sky about a week ago. And this information, if Sky were using this, they would be able to see how customers are reacting to that outage. And I think that's where some of the key elements of this tool could help a business and go, right, this is actually you've now got a churn risk because of this, or these were the particular issues that the customer was talking about. So it's not so much the telly, but the internet connection. So that side of it. And again, Lauren, you mentioned that there may be some changes taking place in your business. How is that changing how your customers are communicating with you? Are they ringing in, and do they have any concerns around that? And this would flag the sentiment of those customers.
Yeah, 100% it would. You're like, just for example, like that word confusion there, again, from a demographic point of view, Argos has been around for quite a few years. And, there is, customers out there who've been with us for a long time, and moving to a different company could cause like confusion, repeat contacts, and, could be worried about the change. So yeah, it would definitely flag that.
So I'm going to jump ahead a little bit on what Jack's doing here, and where we've offered support in the past is if you can see that there is a specific concern that customers are raising, the agent guidance tool could then guide the member of the team to say, actually, if you said this, your most positive outcome is going to be achieved. If you said that, then actually you're not really going to appease them. You're not really going to be giving them that reassurance. So don't say that, but do say this. And I'm going to hand back over to Jack, because he knows what he's doing more than I do.
Oh, you had it, Mark. Let's go. No, but of course, Mark is spot on. And that's where we can go into that sort of area. And let's jump ahead, because if we looked at conversion overview, this is a very sort of salesy focused example, Lauren, but I suppose philosophy behind it rings true no matter what kind of KPI you want to look at. and how this can support the real-time element by giving the agent the answer that they need in the moment. So if we imagine this is more focusing on, I suppose, outbound sales or inbound sales, yes, we can see conversion rates, we can see conversion opportunities, which are all well and good, but the piece we care about is down here, because this is where essentially, from a sales perspective, we are looking at customer objections and how we can then give the best response to that in the moment. So we're tracking where we're losing sales opportunities, where an objection's come up and there's no rebuttal, which is almost 80% of the time. We know that when there is an objection with a rebuttal, that goes down to 41%, so we almost slash that in half. So it's almost doubling our sales, which is a pretty easy KPI for any salesperson to swallow.
Yeah.
But what we want to do next is actually track what are the most easily overcome objections, and vis-a-vis what are the hardest objections to overcome, and what are our best performing rebuttals. And we put it in this sort of quadrant view that lets us see really high conversion rate against a really high volume of calls. So essentially we're getting this objection on a lot of interactions, and we're also overcoming it on a lot of interactions, so we don't need to worry. The ones we need to focus on that our agents don't know how to respond to are this sort of objection. We're seeing it a lot of the time, and we're having a really low conversion rate against it. Really responsive and high effective rebuttals are this one, so like offering a discount, locking in the price. But we can go even more granular with that, because we can then start to say against every tracked rebuttal and every tracked sort of objection, what is almost that perfect match for that customer in the moment. If someone says that on their call that they are not interested, saying that you can't guarantee the quote or price is unsurprisingly going to not convince the customer very often. But if we scroll across, saying things like, hey, it's free to cancel or charge, why not sign up now? Or I can lock the price in for you today, or even I can offer you a discount, very lucky customer today. Those are going to give you a really good outcome. And that's what we do, is take all of this data, find the sort of root cause of the KPI we're trying to look at, be it costs, sales, or churn, and give you the sort of the best thing to say in the moment that's going to cut down or improve the KPI you're looking at.
Okay, interesting. It's kind of like a speech forecast, in a sense, isn't it? What works, what doesn't, from analysis. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and that can be as granular as you like, again, because Lauren, I know you said at the start about things like silence time. We take that into account. We take things like talk time, how overall dominant the agent or customer is being on the phone, the duration, as well as that silence time and crosstalk, to really give almost a sweet spot, for these kind of calls that you can use in coaching and training to say, we know that if you talk too much, the customer gets backed off, they don't want to buy. If it call goes on too long, if there's too much silence, these are the kind of things that you can work towards, and again, coach the agent live on the call with our cooperative offering, I should say, the agent assist tool, to really drive this improvement.
Yeah, I think it's great that you're able to coach live calls as well, because hindsight's a powerful tool, but in the moment as well, can you imagine that is quite powerful.
Absolutely. And so we can do that from a quality assurance point of view as well. This is a sales example, but being able to really just scoreboard everything that's happening on a call, every kind of behavior we're looking for. Is the agent asking for the sale? Are they handling objections at all? Are they mentioning things like add-ons for upsell opportunities? Like, do you want the insurance for that? Do you want the warranty extension? Are they actually asking to convert that opportunity? And all of that can be scoreboarded and wallboarded and scorecarded, I should say. There you go.
Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting.
Were you doing sort of automatic quality assurance at the moment, Lauren, with Verint?
Unfortunately, I don't touch that because we already have a quality insurance team, quality control team. So I'm not a part of that. I did try to complete some compliance checks. So instead of where quality can maybe only check, because we're financial services, there is scripts there, that we're regulated. So it has to be said. I did try and see whether I could do 100% checks instead of the handful of calls that each agent get every month. but it didn't work. It wasn't meant to be. I think it's certain levels of variance that the business allows you to have, and obviously from money side of things as well, you know, there's only if you only got a certain level of variance that a speech tool that I use, yeah, it wouldn't let me. But it is really interesting. That, thank you for sharing.
No, I was, not at all. I mean, automatic quality assurance is almost, one of the modules that people are interested in the
Yeah,
most, I think, because it just
absolutely.
gives that like 100% snapshot view of how people are performing across every interaction, not just the ones that you have to manually review, right?
Yeah, of course.
And say dashboards, wallboards, reports can all be built within the tool, but really, I think what it gives you is that snapshot view of where people are doing well overall and where
Yeah.
maybe they're falling down. And it may not be the area that you expect, like Johnny Velasquez here, it's his compliance section, that really important piece, unfortunately, that's failing him overall, that verification. He's not asking those questions that you need him to be asking.
Yeah, but that's good from a coaching need. It is, overall failing on everything. It's that one part. So yeah, that's good to, I can imagine it's good to share. Makes it easier for coaching as well.
Tons easier.
Yeah.
I say, and every interaction that you bring into the platform, you essentially get a record like this, so you'll be able to see whether it's a phone call, what team it was, what agent it was, as well as all of the key information that you care about throughout that whole piece that have been actually flagged and time stamped. And that can range from those kind of QA elements, as you see throughout, like the opening has the agent doing their greeting, offering their name and offering assistance. Scrolling down, you can see how that actually looks in the transcript as well. So
how is the transcription? So if you don't mind me asking, with the system, is it good? Do you find it 100% accurate?
We're very high 90s. Yeah, honestly,
high 90s.
Yeah,
100%. That's if anyone says they can do 100, then they're telling porkies.
Yes. It depends on accents, I found as well, which our transcription is high, but depending on the accent, I can listen to a call, and before I look at the transcription, you think, okay, there could be a couple of words there that they're going to, misjudge, 100%. And I get it. So just intrigued with this system, what it's like with different accents and dialects out there.
Well, my favorite war story for that sort of example, Lauren, is that we were doing a proof of concept project with a company in Ireland, in the north actually, and they gave us some of their toughest accented agents to pass, purely because they had been burnt by speech analytics before and they wanted us to prove the point. They sent us several very thick Northern Irish sort of brogue accents, and also a lady who was Nigerian and had moved to Northern Ireland about 10 years ago.
I see,
and the system did a very, very good job, sometimes better than I could do just listening back to it. So
yeah, it happens, doesn't it?
Yeah. And again,
Lauren,
go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to say, you can also, if there are specific words, terminologies. So we were working with a firm of solicitors, and they use a lot of legal terminology, and which may not be out of the box in the transcription service, and you can train the transcription service to understand those words, and therefore is more accurate. So it's not just once you launch it, it is what it is. You can actually improve it specific to your business.
Yeah, I found that was a little bit of a challenge, and it's good now because it's a recognised word. But when I first got the role, it was during COVID times, and the word COVID, it was obviously a word that was absolutely being regularly used, unfortunately, by everybody across the country. But again, from speech point of view and those calls coming in, COVID, transcription wise, it was again recognised. It wasn't a word. So yeah, I can imagine everybody had that type of difficulty at that time. But yeah, it's good to share, Mark, that and now COVID is recognised. It's a regular word, but at that moment in time, it was trying to get different words, from a phonetic point of view, to get those calls recognised and within a category. Yeah, it was. That's a war story I'm sure everybody had at that moment in time.
Yeah, probably indirectly led to a lot of advancements in speech analytics. Everyone
Yes.
panicked to try and accommodate for it. But
Yes.
exactly that is exactly how we came to that improvement, because what we do is recognize the, like you say, the phonetics of it, so COVID, and you
Yeah.
tell the system that when you hear that enunciation of COVID, then transcribe it as this, and it will do,
Yes.
and it will learn from there. And then everyone gets their own sort of custom dictionary model. Incredibly helpful for
Yeah.
people with a lot of products that may be non-dictionary standard, even company names or legal phrases and terminology that just aren't in the dictionary.
Yes. Yeah.
Brilliant. So I would just want to end on one thing here, which is AI questioning.
Yeah.
Because this is something that we just brought out and is really cutting edge for using AI to query data at scale. And what this lets us do is essentially pass a series of questions into the platform. And then every call that we receive, the AI will ask those questions of that transcript. So in a way, very similar to what we're doing, but giving a lot more control and nuance over the actual language used, and being able to put in a huge amount of prompt engineering to safeguard both the AI as well as the answers it puts out.
Okay.
So everything that you're seeing here is going to give you an example of the question set that we've applied to this data. So this question set can be completely custom, but what we've done is look for a disposition, the issue reported, the resolution, call classification, as well as steps taken. If I hover over the little I can see essentially the heart of the question that we're asking of the AI, which is provide a brief phrase that highlights the main issue being discussed, and provide a quick reference to the core problem. Not sure if you can see that pop up coming up.
Yes, I can. Thank you.
No, perfect. And as well as even something as simple as outcome. Was this call resolved, or was it escalated or unresolved, and does it need a callback? We can ask the AI these sort of queries, and then it can respond with a straight answer that we can report on. It can give a timestamp to how it got that answer that it was looking for. Great for things like steps taken as well, or actions that need to be taken, as well as things like call classification, and classifying calls, especially when we're trying to do an analysis of what we don't know, is incredibly valuable. Being able to understand, great, we've got categories for reason X through A, so A through Z of what people are calling about, but suddenly someone's calling in and they're calling about something completely different. This can already be able to protect against that, categorize them, and bucket them for you.
Yeah, well, okay, that's I like the timestamp as well, because why, if things are taking a little bit longer, you can find the reason why. Is this used from a quality monitoring point of view then as well, this AI? Yes,
Definitely.
I can imagine.
Yep.
Yeah. I saw Greg, massive nod there from Greg.
You've got it. We don't need to tell you anything,
Yeah.
Lauren. You know exactly what you're talking about.
Know your stuff.
Yeah. I wouldn't go that far, but thank you. Yeah, no, that's really interesting. So you are able to quantify and, like you said, deliver that to agents, operations if there is an issue, for example, in the call classification, or missing steps taken, for example. Would the AA recognize that if something was missing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
And we don't. Yeah, we can use AI or our own logic to do that, to look for things in sequence. Was A followed by B followed by C, etc.
Yeah, okay. So just trying to put this in a live point of view, if business errors happen, a system could break, it happens, and within our business there's a very responsive, very quick team that get on it, and we all try and fix it as soon as possible. How would AI help that then? Looking at this, would it recognize, there was a step missing there, and then could it recognize it could be maybe a system error? Or if I'm off track, please correct me.
No, I think you're right on track, but I think let's jump over to the other demo, Lauren, and show you how it can work in the moment.
Oh, okay, fab.
Brilliant. Just stop sharing and reshare.
Lauren, while Jack's doing that, the other element on the reporting side is you mentioned sort of who has access to the reporting, and then creating reports for other members of the team.
Yes.
So there are multiple levels that you can create reporting for. So you, as an example, and your manager would be able to see all of the information. And then what you could do is create reports and dashboards specific for a team leader or a manager within a department to show them that information. And then you can create reports for the individual agents themselves. So not everybody wants to show a team dashboard on how everybody's doing, but you might want to see actually, how am I doing as an agent? Where am I strong, and where is this showing I could make some improvements? And you can then set challenges for yourself to improve in certain areas. But without the data, cool.
No, sorry, Mark. That's a very fair point. I've been a team leader myself, and you can create team dashboards.
Yep.
And there is team leads out there say, oh, another report to look at. So and it does happen out there, and I can imagine it happens across different companies. So it is good that you can get it to an agent level, just to see how you are doing. Being on the phone is probably one of the hardest jobs out there. I've done it myself many years ago. So that's good to know.
So on the, do many of the team work in their contact center itself, or are they working at home as well?
Agents on the phone. We do have a few that work at home, but I think majority are still in the contact center.
Okay. I'm just thinking about the vulnerability side, just identifying vulnerable customers, but also identifying vulnerable members of the team. So if you can see their sentiment changing or how they're interacting with customers, that could really flag something. And that's where the AI is so important in this, is to see peaks and troughs and being able to see the history of how an agent is interacting.
Yeah, massively. Again, using COVID, back in COVID days when people were still working, I can imagine that AI would have been vital. A lot of people were going through a difficult time, weren't they? So it's good that this AI could be in place to help recognize, okay, does that agent need a one-to-one talk or whatever, just that extra support?
Yeah. Or even if they're managing really difficult conversations. If they're just if they're receiving one after the other, do they need to take a breather? And does the team leader need to be aware of that? So is that impacting their performance?
Yeah. 100%.
Anyway, back over to Jack again. Thank you, Jack.
No, thank you, Mark. So hopefully you can see the screen coming through again now.
Yes, I can.
Brilliant. So the other half of the offering that we moved over to is that real-time agent assist. I'm actually showing it to you, Lauren, in directly within a telephony environment, so 8x8.
Okay.
Though this solution that you're seeing in this sort of panel over to the side here, that we can inject that into kind of any real of the telephony vendors out there. It can also work as a kind of standalone solution that just sits in a maybe separate browser window or on the agent's other monitor. It's really up to you, the kind of screen real estate you have to play with, and the integration methods that we've got available, how you want to display it. This is just an example, right?
Yeah, okay.
Brilliant. So Agent Assist is a tool that lets you almost create what you might call like a workflow. It doesn't have to be that process oriented, but it kind of gives real-time agent assistance based on the agent's day-to-day. We tie it to the contact center solution directly, so the agent doesn't really have to learn anything new. They can continue to work as they currently were, and they get this extra level of assistance, basically just popping up, being there, and giving them the information that they need. Okay. So when the agent makes a call, answers a chat, or answers an inbound dial, our solution will come alive. You can see currently it's connected but not recording anything. Mm-hmm. So when I actually launch one of these, like let's see, outbound internet sales, that will go green. And what you can suddenly see now is we are getting real-time transcription from my previous conversation. So I'm going to complete that one and I'm going to launch that again because we want a fresh one. Create new record. There we go. So that's choice of demos for you. So from the start, you can see there, I am now getting transcribed in real time.
Right.
So anything that I say to the agent will come through in blue, and anything in your case, Lauren, will come through on the other channel as the customer box there.
Yeah.
Now, what that means is we can do everything you saw on the post-call side in real time. So we're transcribing, we're analyzing, and we're listening out for category hits, product names, and anything we want to be looking out for. So we can do things then for the agent in real time. So if there are processes that need to be adhered to, we can make sure that they are shown to the agent as a reminder, depending on how tenured they are and experienced. Maybe it's completely verbatim, maybe they're gentle reminders, or maybe you don't want to show them at all. It's completely up to you. But when I get this sort of intent match box, I'll be like, oh, right, what do I need to do? Okay, so, hi, good morning. Can I confirm that I'm speaking to Lauren? Great, just wanted to let you know that this call is being recorded. My name's Jack. And all of those will tick off as the system hears them.
Brilliant. Massive help for new people, new staff.
Phenomenal in terms of training and onboarding.
Massive help.
Just especially now, as you can't find the experienced agents anymore or as much, it's getting people up to speed. It just cuts this in half at least, right?
Yeah, I can imagine. Nerves, we've all got to start somewhere, haven't we? So yeah, that great help, I can imagine.
Yeah. And look at that, it's popped up speed issues because it heard us talking about the speed of onboarding. But I was going to ask Lauren if you could, politely reject me. Just say you're not interested in my cold call.
Not interested, thank you, Jack.
Oh, shame. But I understand you might think that, Lauren, but my system's telling me with the increased need for stable internet for streaming, online gaming and working from home, it's actually more important than ever to have a quick internet service. So I'd love it if you give me 5 minutes.
Nice. Well, yeah, that's good.
But that's great. And these rebuttals, I say, they are either, maybe that's what you want to say from a company point of view. Maybe that's this is the message we need to put forward. Or maybe it's the rebuttal that we know is the best rebuttal response from the post-call analytics. So we start to form what we call the loop of intelligent guidance, not just agent assist. We're taking the best practices that we've seen from the post-call world and giving it to the agent right in the moment when they need it the most.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Very useful, I can imagine.
Definitely.
Because like I said, listen back to a call and you could have done that differently. And okay, you do learn from that, but in the moment, I can imagine it's from a quality point of view, scoring wise, etc. You get those scores up a lot quicker.
100%. Yeah. And when you have the two solutions together, we're transcribing it on the front end. We don't need to retranscribe it when it gets to the post call. So you're getting almost instantaneous kind of results from QA, compliance, complaints, whatever you need it to be.
Okay. And I can imagine then if you get, I don't mean to sound negative, a very difficult customer out there who argues back, I can imagine you can create in the moment coaching, in the moment help. You've got a really defensive, maybe argumentative customer. I don't know. It does happen, doesn't it? I can imagine it can help with that scenario as well.
Yeah, definitely. I say it can detect that sort of things and give de-escalation protocols or even just fire. And I say, it's not the most cheerful example, but as you say, if there's a difficult customer, if there's a customer that's got like vulnerability, something we see a lot in housing and people just threatening or making things that aren't going to be particularly helpful for the agent, that's where we can do, I say, alerts to the agent, or we can alert their supervisor, where they can then come in, barge monitor, whisper on the call, make sure that the agent's okay afterwards, and essentially just put an arm around the agent, make sure they're supported.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
Well, I say, obviously you've already seen this, Lauren, you get it, but if you need that help with the the compliance elements, if there's things that have to be said verbatim, we can ensure that's being done on the call, making sure I need to confirm your address, confirm your zip code, confirm your telephone before we actually move on with the call.
Yeah. Does it recognize then if they don't say it verbatim in the moment?
So that's up to you. If you want it to be absolutely verbatim, then these won't tick off, and maybe we can get an alert to say, hey, you didn't say that quite right.
Okay.
Or it can be quite loose, just make sure they are asking for the address generally rather than specifically.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I say we go ahead and offer things like all of that intent detection, the compliance matching, the coaching. There's also the AI assistant itself, where if I needed to quickly, get a summary of the call at the end of every call, this is something we could automate, but I could quickly click a button and get a summary of everything that's happened so far. And the customer, Lauren, acknowledges its usefulness. There you go. Love to hear it. But I can ask questions of the AI as well. So, you know, for like list all questions that were said, or just oh God, what was the customer's name? I forgot. You know,
Yeah.
desperate in the moment, but it's gotten Lauren. It's provided some extra fluff. That's AI. What can you do? Strong, Lauren, strong. But yeah,
I've
all
been
of
called
that's
worse.
there. And all of that will wrap up. And once it's complete, you know, we just can send dispositions back. We can also write that summary, anything else the agent has done, the actions. As you saw, we write it back to the post-call world, but we can push that downstream to CRM systems or any other endpoints that need to have that data pushed back to.
Okay. Okay, fab, interesting. It's interesting to see it from an AI point of view and what it can do. So I do appreciate that. Thank you, Jack.
Oh, no worries at all. Thank you for being a great audience, Lauren. Is there any questions you had now or any final thoughts? Anything you want to look at in more detail or lingering questions?
All put on the spot and then you go blank. At the minute,
Need an
at the
AI
minute,
assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the minute, no, but that has been massively interesting. Thank you. It's great to see other tools out there. So it's been, you know, really valuable. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, you tend to, when you just use one system, you know, you don't realize how much more is out there. So thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Lauren.
No, I appreciate your time. Thank you. If there's any other chats or anything like this, then yeah, please, I'll keep an eye on LinkedIn. I'm happy to join anything else.
Thanks, Lauren. I mean, just I know Jack shared the demonstration on using the 8x8 platform, but the Creovai platform is agnostic, and so any platforms that outside of 8x8, it's likely to integrate with that as well. It's a very simple solution to actually embed. So yeah.
Okay. What was it called again? Sorry, Mark.
The platform that Jack showed, and it was 8x8. So
sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so NSL are an aggregator of services. So 8x8 is one of the platforms that we support and provide, and this is where Creovai complements the contact center back office environment. So that's how we bring all of these tools together to our customers. So they have a range of products to choose that will support them, including workforce management, PCI compliance, inbound marketing numbers. Our customers come to us for those solutions as well.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Thank you. And yeah, no, that's great. If you do get a little bit off tangent, appreciate we're still recording, would it be okay if I send a LinkedIn invite just to connect?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah,
that'd be
please
great.
do.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you for your time. Nice to speak to you.